Namaskar, my dear friends. I am Dr. Pramod Kumar Gupta. I am founder of Indian Teacher Education Community, and we are organizing a program on 7 days online training program on being a leader who matters with Miss Rinki Arora ma'am. Rinki Arora ma'am is associated with the VV Giri National Labour Institute, Noida. And now I am inviting Miss Rinki Arora. Welcome, ma'am. Please.
Thank you so much, sir. Before we begin or take the session forward, I just want to play a song for you. I'll start from the middle. It's a 3-minute long song. Let me know if it's audible. Can you, the audio, like, can we all hear it? Yeah, hi, good evening. Uh,
No, ma'am,
just
we cannot hear.
cannot. Okay.
You
Was
can
it?
go through. You can go through with your second PPT.
Okay,
Please
okay,
go
okay.
ahead.
I'll
Yeah.
just go ahead. I just wanted that the song was basically about how we can actually win and be a champion and work towards being a leader. So, first of all, I'd like to thank Pramod sir for all the support, and I'm grateful to him for allowing me to be a part and connect with each one of you for 7 days. And these 7 days are definitely going to be insightful and full of energy. And I hope these 7 days will be nurturing for all of us. And next, good evening, everyone. I would like to thank each one of you for your cooperation despite the change in schedule. You all are here. Thank you for your patience and being connected. And in these 7 days, on the online training program on Be a Leader Who Matters, I hope it's going to be a game changer for you. The skills that you acquire over here for these 7 days that you have given to yourself, the 7 precious hours after your hectic schedule, I hope they turn to be fruitful for you and help in adding more to your knowledge and skill sets. And apart from this, always remember that we have miles to go and milestones to achieve. And I congratulate each one of you on your first step to success. As you have invested like 1 hour each day, you'll be investing in understanding those points, in understanding those characteristics on how can you be effective and how can the power that you have, you can utilize it in the most effective manner. Okay, so to begin with, I would like you all to manifest one thing. Let's manifest and always remember that your brain is a magnet. Okay, so if you think of problems, it'll attract problems. If you think of blessings, it'll attract blessings. So always cultivate positivity, cultivate a positive environment or an optimistic environment, and try to think more of the solution, the probable solutions that you can work off. If plan A doesn't work, what backup plans do you have? Like, I'll just give an example right now. My earphones were not working, my earpods. So I had to think of how to figure out another way of going ahead with the session. So next, we'll be
Ma'am,
covering the
please choose your slideshow
mode. Okay, okay,
option.
okay, okay. Now, to begin with, no man will make a great leader who wants to do it all himself or to get all the credit for doing it. So always remember that if you want to be a leader, if you want to lead a pack, if you want to lead your team, you have to understand your team's strengths, weaknesses, delegate the task accordingly, and also appreciate your teammates so that they work for you, right? And in these 7 days, we'll be covering different topics. The first one that we'll be covering today is what is leadership, different leadership styles. Then tomorrow, we'll be discussing how to manage conflicts because leaders are not scared of conflicts. They do not avoid it. Rather than they face it, they overcome it, they think of possible solutions, like I said. And managing team dynamics. In the quote itself, which I just mentioned to you all, it says that you cannot work individually if you want to, be a leader. You have to give your team credit, right? So you have to understand team dynamics. Every individual is different. And in today's time, we are talking of diversity, inclusion, equity. When we talk of these terms, we need to understand how important it is to appreciate each one of us, people working. So, and next we have is emotional intelligence. Empathy plays a very important role. You have to be empathetic. You have to be considerate towards your teammates, right? Next, time and stress management, quite crucial. Stress is at its peak these days, considering there is no stability. And like I've been saying, we live in a VUCA world, which is completely full of agility, volatility, unpredictability is at its peak. We are working towards gig economy. We want freelancers. We want, and recently there have been so many layoffs. Where is social security? So stress levels are too high. Things are becoming too unpredictable. Now, communicate through understanding. We have to understand the entire communication process, because no communication is complete without feedback, right? Then, technology, the technological disruption that we have been noticing in the recent past, and especially during the COVID time, there has been a huge technological disruption we have seen. We have moved towards hybrid modes. So considering all of that, we will try and cover as much as possible with your support. So I need your help in that. So I have certain ground rules. And the number one is interact in whichever way possible. A leader cannot be quiet. A leader has to communicate. Remember, for me, you all are leaders, potential leaders. And in my brochure also, like which we made, sir and I, which we have prepared for you, it says that it will your untapped potential. We are here to understand your untapped potential, your uh, caliber, your capability to achieve great heights. Actually, the song that I wanted you to listen, I'll share it on the WhatsApp group. It's a very nice track. I've been listening to it because it actually motivates me that my name is going to be there on that Hall of Fame. So I think that each one of us has that caliber. We only need that initiation. Initiation is what matters. So we have to get out of that shell. Next, we have to share our perspectives, irrespective of who has asked the question. We have to give in our inputs also, because my perspective is different from yours. So you can definitely share in your perspective. If you're not comfortable switching on the audio or video, you can definitely type it out. I'll read it. Then shed your inhibition. A leader has to be really confident, and confidence comes from knowledge and articulating yourself in the most effective manner. Okay, and I really want to encourage this from the session, that I want a group picture. I want to have my memories with each one of you. So I want a group picture, and please remind me in case I forget it. And the mode of imparting information and getting inputs from you is going to be bilingual. So if you are comfortable in Hindi, please go ahead in Hindi. English, go ahead in English. Whichever language you're comfortable with, the floor is open for you. You can go ahead, share your valuable inputs. So when I was saying that we will be nurturing skills, what skills am I talking of? But before this, guys, always remember that you have to be consistent. The keyword for the entire 7-day journey is consistency. That's the only way you can be a leader. The only way you can be effective, the only way you can actually have a name in your domain, whatever domain you are in. I believe most of you are in from the education sector. So if you want to have that name, if you want to achieve that, remember that consistency matters a lot. There's no point that one day you're working for 6 hours, the other day you work for 1 hour. So it's nullified in a way. It has to be consistent 3 hours each day, 5 hours each day. Then only it will magnify your performance. Next, we'll try and create an effective learning environment. By effective learning environment, we mean that an environment wherein we are not just talking about the theory, we are also trying to implement it. Now, here I'd like to quote the new education policy. Why am I quoting it here is that we all know that the NEP started from 1968, the Indira Gandhi government, then moved on to Rajiv Gandhi government 1986, then modified 1992, and now we have the current 2020 NEP. Now, when we talk of the NEPs, the new education policy so far, the only groundbreaking thing that has happened is the right to education, which has free education up to the age of 14 years. But now, when we're talking of NEP 2020, we are seeing some good things that are going to be implemented. For example, coding will be introduced, then education in the regional languages, multidisciplinary vocational education, so on and so forth, so many things. So we are talking about effective, that we are focusing more on the practical part. We are focusing on giving a comprehensive report card to the student based on co-curricular activities, uh, based on the practicals also, not just theory. So that is one thing really important for us to understand. Next, like I've been saying, you have to articulate your thought process, which will definitely help each one of us to grow. I always encourage that we are a team, and I want each one of us to grow together. That is why we are here, and maintain a good rapport. Like we know that network is net worth. We need to have a good network, and we all have connected through a common platform because we all have similar interests. So I think this is a very golden opportunity for each one of you to share your thought process, and then you can obviously bond well and interact. And if you have any objectives that the other person can help you achieve in terms of your career and in terms of your professional development, this platform is, I think, a golden opportunity. And managing your deliverables, how to deliver them in the most effective manner within the deadlines, it's quite crucial. And definitely when we understand all this, we are able to manage time, we are able to reduce stress. So in a way, all these things are interlinked. And establishing leadership, the ultimate goal of 7 days that we have is to establish leadership. Now I think that we all are in a way charged up, we are in an active mode now. Before I go ahead further, I would like to know each one of you, like your name, your designation, the place that you belong to. If you're not comfortable with the audio video, I would like you to please type it out in the chat box. I'll read it. I really want to know that what what kind of participants do I have? I know I have quite versatile participants, diversified and active participants. So if you could just type out or also switch on your video or audio, whatever you're comfortable with in communicating and sharing your names and your designation.
Good
And
evening, ma'am.
hi, good evening.
I'm Anita here. I'm working as principal of AP Model School at Andhra Pradesh, ma'am. A school
Great.
that consists of class 6 to 12, ma'am. I'm principal
Okay.
of that. It is managed by government of Andhra Pradesh.
Okay.
So I'm working in that school, ma'am.
Okay, you're the principal there.
Yeah.
Okay, place, if you could come again.
It is a remote village in Andhra Pradesh, ma'am. Bairedipalli, Chittoor district, ma'am.
Okay, great. Okay, that's wonderful. And 6 to 12th, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, nice, interesting. I am reading other people also, and I have two very active participants joining with me again, Lokesh and Pearl. It is great to see you guys again. And I hope you have certain good key takeaways, different key takeaways from the prior sessions we had. And Lokesh and Pearl, they have been really active in my previous sessions. So welcome again, guys. And just hoping that this adds more to your learning this time and you have new learning this time. And I'm seeing some really, okay, I'll just read out. So Lokesh is, okay, student, and okay, Anil, sir, okay. Anil sir, Mrs. Alice, okay, teacher, I'm Shwet, okay, interesting, VIT University, okay, head of Department of Management Studies, okay, where, but, okay, great. Welcome again, everyone. It's good to have each one of you, and each one of you truly means a lot, yeah. Yes, how can I forget such active people who have been really enthusiastic, who have added so much to my inputs also. Okay, great. So we have two Lokesh this time, Lokesh Kumar, and the other one is, okay, great. So we have good bunch of versatile people with me, and I'm really happy to have, overwhelmed to have each one of you. Great. Thank you. So whenever I ask, check my audio or video, you can type in a Y or N also. Okay, so that it makes it easier for us to communicate. Great. Okay, guys, welcome. Okay, yes. Good students are always needed everywhere. Okay, so I'll be talking about the overall fact file about leadership and okay. Now, according to a study by Good Hire is an employee background verification organization. So it says that a bad boss makes you quit your job. Definitely, because you have a if you have somebody who is completely bossy and authoritative and doesn't allow you to be yourself, doesn't allow you to give your inputs, for how long will you be able to bear that person? That micromanagement, in a way, sometimes gets onto your nerves. And be it any domain that I'm talking of, any sector that you talk of, the bottom line, when I say bottom line, means your profits and losses in a way are highly affected by your leadership. If it's effective, your organization's performance magnifies. And the another point states that 60% of the potential with no leadership at all, but 40% of the leadership is added when 40% of the results are increased when the leadership is effective. So in all it comes down, in if I have to conclude, it comes down to effective leadership in an organization. If an organization is forward looking, if an organization wants to grow in the market, if it wants to have a good market share, if it wants to have a big name, a brand, leadership plays a very crucial role. Why do we know Google? Why do we know Apple? Why do we know Amazon? Why do we know these? Why are these brands? A lot is done by the employees, employer, the work culture. Everything plays a crucial role. Why do we know TCS? Why do we know companies like Infosys? We know them because they have a name because of their leadership, the people who are working over there, and why the people are able to give in their inputs because the leader encourages them to do so. So in all, it comes down to leadership. Okay, what factors, when you talk of employees' performance, what factors motivate an employee? Poor, what factors affect actually? When I say performance, communication, the number one thing that comes into your mind is communication. When there is lack of communication, when there is lack of clarity in terms of the communication between different departments, how will you be able to understand the task and perform? So that's number one, poor cross team communication. If you are assuming things, overthinking things, you will never be able to perform well. So let's not assume, let's not overthink. Let's just take things the way they are. No clarity on who's doing what by when. See, if there is no clarity of who's the owner of the task and there is no clarity in terms of the responsibility, how will you understand who is responsible for the task that we are doing? So that's another thing. No goals defined and no tracking against the goal set. Okay, I have a question for you on this. Think about it yourself. What's more likely to get your team to drive more revenue? Number one, doing nothing and hoping for the best. Simply asking them to help you make more, make more money, get profits for the organization, earn more revenue. Last, setting a concrete goal for them to increase revenue by 40%. I hope you got the question. It says, think about it. What's more likely to get your team to drive more revenue? Asking them to do nothing and hoping for the best, kind of laissez-faire, kind of. Simply asking them to help you make more money. Just, uh, just asking them, right? Next, setting a concrete goal for them to increase revenue by 40%. Okay, I have some responses which I'd like to, exactly. Absolutely. So we have leaders in the making with us. So it's good to
I
see.
feel it is same, ma'am. Like everybody are telling,
Yes,
if I want to increase the revenue, then simply it means that I need to have a concrete goal, right? Without the concrete goal, even I being a leader cannot do anything in the organization. So I feel once
absolutely.
we have a concrete goal, then we can get the more revenue.
Absolutely. Great inputs by each one of you. Thank you so much, Pearl. So, yes, set some goals. It's really important for all of us to set some goals. B is certainly better than A. We can see that. But you know the best thing to do is C when you have a goal in mind. Okay, now when I was talking about the ground rules, when I was talking about the skills, you have certain goal in your mind. Okay, we will be getting this through the entire session. Right. Now the objective is clear. Now what you can do is you can, if you have certain more objectives to the objectives that I've just shown, so you will be able to achieve more from this session, right? I have just mentioned objectives in a broader way. You can also add on to your more objectives, write them down, and understand at the end of the session, was I able to achieve it? Or do I need to read a little more? Do I need to discuss it a little more? So things like that, you can work on it, right? Next, workload imbalance. If you are not delegating the task properly, how can you even expect your team to perform well? So delegation of tasks is really important. Role ability fit, it also means that if you're not if you're underutilizing or overutilizing a resource, that also is not something which is acceptable or will help you yield the desired results. Lack of transparency. For example, if your seniors do not involve you in the bigger picture of the organization, you are just involved in the smaller tasks. You are you're working on it, doing it, going back home. But you do not know the bigger picture, then how will you be able to understand your leader a little better and perform the task with your 100%? That full potential also here will not be utilized if your management is not interested in involving you in the bigger picture, in the long term goals. Also you should be aware. That is why organizations discuss vision 2030, vision 2050. Organizations discuss this. Why? Because they want you to understand this is the vision that we have certain team objectives that you have to meet, because there are number of clients that you need to get, number of hours that you clock in, number of projects that you complete within one particular year, the revenue that is generated on the basis of that. So things like that, if the leader involves you in the bigger picture, you give in your best, right? Then uninspiring leadership. 65% of the employees would take a better manager over a pay raise. There is no point where my caliber is not respected or it is appreciated. There's no point to work with a boss who does not respect me in that way, because we all know that Abraham's Maslow's hierarchy, right? In a way, we all are striving towards achieving that phase wherein our creativity is respected despite our seniority and tenure. Also, our uh, uh, our inputs that we give are appreciated. That is why I said your team should be given that credit. Culture fit, you have to understand your the people around you, the organization, the dress code. You have to understand if it's like if Friday is meant for casuals, you have to follow that. And you have to understand that you have different people that you're working with. So think well, choose your words well, and understand the people around you, and then only communicate. Okay, so I've just given you an overview of boss versus leader and manager versus leader in the very first slide, but I have prepared a comparative chart over here, boss, manager, and leader. Now, when I say the difference, that the first one I'll be reading is the definition. When I say boss, what comes to your mind? When I say boss, it's like authoritative, someone who's bossy, right? So a boss is a person who uh, takes the charge at the office, who gives the order to the employees, kind of authoritative, seeks control. And when I say a manager, manager is the one who is more interested in the organizational functions. The organizational function is POS DC, that is planning, organizing, directing, staffing, controlling. Now, when I say leader, leader comes somewhat, if I say leader, it comes more of as a visionary, someone who is influencing, inspiring, and continuously involved in achievement of goals. Now, there is slight difference in the characteristics. We tend to use these words interchangeably, but the difference lies in the characteristics, in the behavior, in the personality, in the attitude. So this is what differentiates a boss, manager, leader. We differentiate it. Then when I say a boss has employees, a manager is more of a team. A leader is wherein a leader has followers, as in more of the we method, not just me. We are a team. So it's more like that. And then authority, a boss administers and rules by fear. Manages processes are transactional. When we say transactional, it is reinforcement, positive or negative. If you do my work, I'll give you incentives. If you're not doing, if for example, if you're not doing the work well in time, you will be penalized. So yes, and leader is someone who innovates and inspires trust. Rapport building. When I say of rapport building, a boss gains respect due to the seniority and authority. Managers create circle of power and lead by authority. And when I say leader, leader earns respect for himself through the conduct, goodwill, and quality of leader. Why does someone want to listen to you? Why would someone want to listen to uh, for example, like I'm following Ankur Warikoo. Okay, now why am I following Ankur Warikoo? Because there is something that he is talking about these days. Why am I reading his book, Do Epic Shit? Now his book has something which is already known, but something which is really interesting. Why am I reading Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog? They are talking about something which we need to know. And I'll be discussing one of the principles by Wilfred Pareto, that is 80-20 in the upcoming slides, which we need to know. Now, delegation of work. A boss tells employees what to do. बताता है क्या करना है. A manager shows how it is done. दिखाना कि ऐसे होना चाहिए. A leader teaches you how to do it, right? And definitely when somebody is teaching you, and it's like you will be able to retain it more. Deal with problem of boss blames for the breakdown and point out the wrongdoing on somebody. He wants somebody to be pinpointed on. And the manager mainly focuses around objectives. And the leader, when we talk of a leader, they identify the breakdown point, the reason for it, and what is going wrong. Now, when we talk conflict management, definitely we'll be discussing it in detail in tomorrow. We have it for tomorrow, but a manager is someone who will react to change and avoids conflicts. However, when we talk of a leader will try to manage it. He'll try to, first of all, accept the change in the organization if it's happening, and how to manage conflicts, how to use them as an asset rather than looking at the negative side of it, looking at how it can be managed and what best can be done out of it. Okay, now how to become an effective leader. Now, these are certain questions which when you talk of a leader, they will ask these questions. Number one, they will not ask, what do I want to do? Rather, it will be like, what has to be done? Now, what should be done in order to achieve, in order to place the organization where, everyone knows that organization. I'm talking when I talk of leadership, I'm talking it on overall basis. It's an overall analysis. I'll be talking of educational leadership in the upcoming slides also. I'll discuss. However, it's quite similar. But in general, when I say a leader is more on action oriented. It will focus on the action. They will focus on the action. A leader is proactive in nature. Proactive as in you think of certain contingencies, certain future. You also plan about the future. That if something doesn't go well, how am I supposed to, deal with it? So they think like that. What do I hope to achieve if I take on this assignment? You understand the pros, the cons of taking up any assignment, of going ahead with any deal. Purpose driven, they have a mission they want to achieve, they have a vision in mind, they're visionary in nature, they plan out that this is how I see myself, my team, my organization in the coming 5 years, 10 years. Make sure the people with whom you work understand your priorities. Now, when I talk of priorities, here I'd like you to understand the 80-20 principle. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Okay, thanks for waiting. Well, 80-20 is the Pareto principle. It is also known as law of vital few, principle of factor sparsity. Sparsity basically means something which is less in amount but spread over an area. It is also known as 80-20 principle. And Pareto principle is like 80-20. 80 is trivial many, 20 vital few. For example, if you have 10 tasks, out of that, 2 tasks will help you yield the result of those 8 tasks. So you have to focus on those 2 tasks, right? For example, I'll give you my example in this. Um, I had to work on one research paper. I had to work on this PPT, and there were other tasks which I do, which I write in this. I have a small notepad that I prepare. I list down my day-to-day tasks so that you know what, maximum times I'm not able to achieve all. I'm not able to achieve all the tasks. I achieve like if I write 10, I'll be able to achieve 4 to 5 tasks. So I've been working on this. But out of those 10 tasks, I always realized the two major tasks for me were PPT and research paper. So if I would complete them, my major headache would go. And this actually happened. So my major tasks were PPT and the research paper, which I have completed. So this is what I'm trying to encourage you also to do and inculcate this habit, that the two frogs that you're avoiding. Brian Tracy has written this book, Eat That Frog. In this book, he says that the major frogs that you are avoiding are basically the source of your stress. That is why you're not able to, be that happy. What happens is that we all are very ambitious, but also lazy. We do not want to work on the major tasks. That is why we are not that happy. That source of happiness is missing. So we need to work on those major two tasks. Although how boring it might be, how reluctant you act, you have to work on those two tasks only, the major tasks. Then only you will feel more accomplished. That sense of accomplishment will increase. And just be yourself. Be yourself. I'll also conclude sum up the leadership style that there is no good leadership style. To be very honest, don't try to be somebody else. Just be yourself, because there are a lot of things which we do not know. Even Google at a point says error 404, page not found. So Google also says that. So it's okay if we do not know. Remember that. But at least we have tried, we have taken the initiative. But don't take this as leverage in going unprepared and say, oh, I tried, that's enough. No, that is a wrong way of dealing. That's the wrong approach. So don't do that as well. Okay, give in your best, and then also if you're not able to get it, then you can say, okay, I tried. Not giving in your best and saying, oh, at least I took that initiative, that is not the right approach. Okay, moving on. Okay, now I have a very small tip over here, that to become an effective mentor, listen, communicate, offer constructive feedback, delegate, and practice empathy. This in all covers the characteristics of how you can be an effective leader. This is what it is trying to say over here, that constructive feedback. A feedback should always be constructive. Your feedback should be given in a way wherein you highlight the person's positive points, focus on the weak points, and tell that person the area of improvement, how that person can improve. In this way, the other person would like to listen to you rather than just saying that तेरे बस की नहीं है. ठीक है, that negative kind of thing is required when the other person कहते हैं ना चिकना खड़ा है कुछ समझ ही नहीं रहा है, then it's required. But if the other person is putting in efforts and then also not getting it, then you can definitely work with constructive feedbacks. Now, what is leadership? Leadership is influencing people so that they will strive willingly towards the achievement of group goals. Now, the keywords over here is influencing people, achievement of group goals. Remember group goals, it's really important. I have mentioned the source. I have tried to mention the source for all the information that I have collected in the last slide, and somewhere I've hyperlinked also. So in case when you check it, you can see for hyperlinks, and you can definitely check the bibliography part. Then leadership is a process of social influence which maximizes the efforts of others. towards the achievement of goals. Now, I have some, you have to notice the key elements in this definition. Leadership stems from social influence, not authority or power. Leadership requires others, and that implies it do not need to be direct. Okay, I think somebody wants to speak something. It includes a goal, not influence with no intended outcomes. I hope by far we are on the same page. Yes, I will be sharing the PPT in PDF format. I'll be sharing. Okay, by far it's clear that you have to strive towards achieving the goals, right? And right now also we have a goal to achieve, right? Which I've mentioned. So keep in mind, you can also have your own goals. You can have your key points. You can write them down because everything that we'll be discussing, I hope it'll add a lot to your learning. This is what I hope. I'm not able to move on to the next slide. I'm trying. Okay. 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 Leadership styles. We are done with. We understood what is what who is a leader. We've tried to understand how can we be effective leaders. I think I missed out on one slide. Okay. No, done. Fine. Okay, leadership styles. Leader style encompasses how they relate to others within and outside the organization, how they view themselves, their position, and to a large extent, whether or not they are successful as leaders. Now, a lot depends upon your personality, your attitude, your skills, your behavior. It's an amalgamation of all this, right? And in the very beginning, like I said, remember consistency, perseverance, patience. You cannot be a leader in a day. You cannot expect that you go to the gym for one day or you just read. You study 8 hours one day and the next day you're studying for 0 hours, saying that yesterday I studied for 8 hours. Now I'll not even spend a single hour. There is no point. Results do not come in the wink of an eye. They will take time. They will take time. And remember that there is no shortcut to hard work. There is no shortcut to consistency. Consistency is boring, very monotonous, but there is no other option. There is no other alternative. And I'm saying this in caps that there is no alternative. You have to work on it. And now when I talk of styles of leadership, I'm bringing to you a very interesting Blake Mouton managerial grid. It talks about, I'll give you a background first. It was given by Robert Blake and Jane Mouton somewhere in the 1960s, close to 1964. And what happened was then when they were studying effective leadership, they understood that the behavior, the management behavior, the organization behavior is largely dependent upon the concern for production. That is the x-axis you can see, concern for production, and y-axis you see concern for people, right? Now, this is the grid that they have given. I'll be explaining each one, each quadrant. And the number one is laissez-faire. And in the right-hand side, you can see a colored yellow, which is impoverished. Impoverished is poor, right? So laissez-faire is like, I have it here, when it's uninvolved, like you are leaving it everything to the employees, when it's more of synchronous, more of self-paced. And at times it's fine, but you have to understand when and how will it work, because everywhere laissez-faire will also not work, right? And I have also, okay, and then it says that sees main role as a passer of information, lets other make decisions, basically abdicates responsibilities for team owner. Abdicates means you give up on the position with no intention of coming back, right? So you have to see, when we are discussing these leadership styles, you have to understand when to use which one, right? There are places where laissez-faire might work. There are places where autocratic might work. It depends. You have to understand that. Okay. Now this is laissez-faire is more of delegative. And if I have to quote an example for this, we have Warren Buffett. Okay, Warren Buffett. We know Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is the CEO at Hathaway Berkshire, and this is a conglomerate. And by conglomerate, we mean a company which has many independent business units like Amazon, like Procter Gamble, HUL, Hindustan Unilever Limited. These are few other examples of conglomerates. And Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway. I think I interchanged it. It's Berkshire Hathaway, and he is a business magnate, and investor, and philanthropist. So he is well known for his laissez-faire style of leadership. And so in this quadrant, it is 1-1, that is concern for production and concern for people is low. Okay, next we move on to the country club style. The country club style is benevolent leader. Now, when I say country club style leader, country club is basically, why is it country club? Because here the concern for people is high, right? This, if we know the syntax for 1-9, it's X, Y, yani X pe jo hai, that is here, and Y pe jo hai, it's given in the like X, Y syntax. Okay. Then it's high for people and low for tasks. Now in this, what happens is it's the focus is on creating safe working environment and with minimal conflict. It is a paternalistic approach. What when we say paternalistic approach is a leader who considers that subordinates are a part of the family. For this, I could find out examples were Jack Ma and Henry Ford. Jack Ma of Alibaba Group, and Henry Ford, we know Ford Motors. I'll also read out the points over here. Benevolent leader, the country club, very people oriented, encouraging, organizes around people, could be paternalistic. Okay. And then when we talk of the next leadership style, that is the task management, which is autocratic leadership, authoritative one, that is my way or the highway. For in simpler terms, whatever the speaker is saying, abide to it, because you cannot reject him, right? There is no saying no to him. So here it is more of a carrot stick approach. Carrot stick. Carrot is more of a rewarding. Stick is punishment. Carrot is like when you do my task, you will be rewarded. I will give you financial like incentives. If you're not doing it, the stick approach is basically when you are you're penalizing your employees, you're penalizing your team members for not doing it, right? So this, okay, if I talk of the carrot stick, it was given by Jeremy Bentham. It is a form of reinforcement. And the last one is the team leader. The team leader is considered to be the most effective in general because it's more of balances production and people issues. And it is more of a team approach and builds a working team of employees. So these were the 4 types. And also there is one midway, that is middle of the road. It is also not considered much effective. Why? Because here the maximum efficiency of the employees cannot be taken because it involves a lot of compromise. A lot of compromise is done in this approach. That's why it is also not considered to be an effective approach. So the best one that is considered over here is team management, which is the staff is involved in the decision-making process also. So this is what the Blake Mouton leadership style talks of. And when we talk of autocratic examples, I was able to figure out Elon Musk of Tesla and SpaceX, and Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs has also, like we know that he co-founded Apple with Steve Wozniak, and he has given us products like iPhone, iPad, and he has given Apple a whole new name in the telecommunication sector. So he also adopted kind of an autocratic approach, unlike the present CEO, which is Tim Cook, who is more of transformational, adheres to transformational leadership. Now, if I talk of the overall result, we can say that theory L, that is laissez-faire, is missing management, low productivity. If you remember, it is 1-1, so less on people, less on production. Then when we talk of theory X, my way or highway, that is the autocratic approach. If you remember the low satisfaction, it is more on production, less on people. Theory Y, that is country club, the benevolent approach, it is more of people, less of production. And then you have theory Z, which is a good manager. Here it talks of team manager, that is 9 both on people, both on production, like 9 both. Now, when we talk of educational leadership, like I also discussed, told you about the NEP, that is a new education policy. When we are focusing more on having a practical approach in achieving in imparting information. We have so many modes of online education these days, right? And in this, I'd also like to add that there are different methods of teaching. I'll come on to that. And here in instructional methods, I'll tell you. Now, create a vision of academic success for all students, regardless of their socioeconomic levels. So we have to understand the importance of equality and equity over here, because this is how these are basically the terms of focus in today's. If you see, go through the annual reports also, a lot is being focused on equity, inclusion, diversity, and taking everyone together and achieving success. A lot is being said, done in this area. And then aspire to maintain a responsive, healthy, and safe learning environment. Delegate responsibility to everyone who is involved. Improve curriculum and instructional method. Now there are different teaching methods that we have. It could be teacher centered, it could be learner centered, it could be content centered, it could be interactive or participated. We also talk of immersive learning. When we talk of immersive learning, we talk of augmented reality, virtual reality, teaching your students through flashcards, games, so many things. There are so many things to involve the participation from your students, right? Now, when we talk of teacher-centered, it's teacher-centered method is more of lecture mode, which we all know. Then when we talk of learner-centered, it involves more of discussion from your participants. Then when we are talking of the content, it is the sacrosanct over here is the information and the skill. And like I said, when we talk of interactive and participative, it is more of case studies. I remember conducting facilitating training at VV National Labour Institute on different topics. And one method which my project director follows is case study method. She follows it. And in that, we divide our members into teams. We give them chart papers and pen, and we give them a topic or the ongoing topic only. We ask them to correlate it to their ongoing situation or anything that comes into their mind when we talk of gender, when we talk of social security, because like VV National Labour Institute is an autonomous body of Ministry of Labour and Employment. So yes, we talk of the labor codes, and one of the labor codes is social security. And where is social security these days? We all know that social security is a very big concern. And yes, we discuss all that. So case studies, role plays, these are few examples where you can increase the participation level from your employees, from your students, from anyone if you're facilitating a training program also. Now, education system obtain and adopt current management tools and techniques. Now, understanding this is that we have to understand how to make our learning more and more interactive. More and more participation can be taken from your students. There is no point they read a theory and then vomit it out without any practical implementation. So the only way to build a rapport with your students through your knowledge. That is why that is one striking feature which will attract your students. So for this, you need to keep yourself updated. You need to have that expertise in the area that you are that you belong to. Okay. Okay. Now one question. Now I want each one of you to participate. I want your inputs, and if possible, I'll also write them down. So the floor is open for each one of you. Are leaders born or made? I want to understand. How many of you think leaders are born, and how many of you think leaders are made? I want to understand. I'm quite curious because, okay, leaders are made. That's interesting. So we all feel that leaders are made. Okay. And on what basis do we say that leaders are made? Why are leaders not born? Do you have any key takeaways from the things that I just spoke, or you have your previous experience in saying this? Anyone would turn on the audio, or anyone can type out the reason made because some skills are required. Exactly, superb. That is one good point that I have got. Okay. Okay.
Ma'am, even I feel that leaders are made
Okay.
because no, it always depends on the people they are dealing with. As someone mentioned that we need to have skills, right? So if I can improve my skills in the coming days, so I feel
Mm-hmm.
leaders are made than leaders are born. This is my
Great.
perception of the thing.
Leaders are made, right? Skills can be acquired, like Lokesh also said. So maximum if you feel that leaders are made, absolutely leaders are made. Made by situation, great. Made by okay, skills and experience, great. So I think we all are on the same page. We all agree that leaders are made. And yes, leaders are made. I also feel that 30% is genetic. Scientific statistics reveal that 30% is genetic and 70% is something that you can learn. You can learn from your environment. And a person can be born with natural leadership abilities, and someone can learn on how to be a good leader at work. So definitely, I also feel that leaders are made. And consistency is the word. Like, you have to remember that consistency will take you a long way. No matter how boring it is, it will take you a long way. So the answer is both. Evidence that both inherent personality, environment are factors. So yes, you all are correct that leaders are made. That is why we are here. We are working on ourselves in achieving that, title, and achieving in being a little more effective in our workplace, in being more responsible, being more known, and being more, uh, recalled and remembered by someone who has actually helped in reaching great height, helped the organization, or helped someone for that matter in achieving their goals. Okay. Okay, so now I'd like to sum up. How do you determine what is an appropriate leadership style? So I ask each one of you, do you think there is an appropriate leadership style? How? What do you think?
I feel there is no appropriate style, ma'am, because
Okay.
previously also we learned different types of leadership styles, like it may be a democratic one,
Mm,
autocratic, laissez-faire. We have many things, right? We have even
right.
charismatic, transactions, transformational. So it is according to the situation, we can use the style that we are into. This is what I feel, and this is what I use in my situations when I need to use the different type of styles. This is my answer.
Absolutely, Pearl. Very well said. It's there is no particular style, like no style which is the best. Yes, you can say that this is relatively better than the others, but depending on the situations, like Pearl said, it might vary. You might have to use autocratic at times when the deadline is there and there's a lot has to be done. Then following a laissez-faire will lead you nowhere, right? You might lose your client, you might lose the trust that he showed on you, you might lose the faith somebody had on you. So definitely there is no right leadership style. What works best for you may not be the same as what works best for others, and that's perfectly okay. Like I said, it's okay not to know things. And also remember that you have to delegate your task, you have to understand the objectives of doing tasks, and remember how important is the faith that someone has shown on you. You have to understand, when you are teaching to your students, reaching on time is really important, because your students are actually waiting for you. They have that faith in you, and they trust that the information that our teacher is imparting will be helpful for us. That faith, it works a lot on faith also. The important thing is to always keep your unique personality and your team's best interest in mind. Understand, I have been doing the SWOT analysis task in my two sessions, like from the previous sessions that I took. One was on how to prepare for an interview, and the other one was on vital soft skills. So I ensured that my team does this SWOT analysis of understanding your strengths, your weakness, your opportunities, the threats. So, not today, but definitely I want you to do it as a task for tomorrow. And then this is the first thing that I'd like to discuss with each one of you, because I think this is one task which will help you understand yourselves a little better. And this is a personal SWOT analysis which I want you to do. And we will discuss this tomorrow one by one. I know it's a repetitive one for location, Pearl, but this is how I want my my team to go ahead with, understanding themselves a little closer, a little better. And this is how you have to understand your team also. For example, one member is good with Excel, the other is good with PowerPoint. Delegate the task accordingly. Somebody is good with graphics, somebody is good with video editing. So this is how you will be able to utilize the potential of your team in the most desired effective manner, so that the objectives are also achieved. You cannot, overburden one resource with all the tasks and give no task to somebody. So this is also not the right way. You have to understand your team, and it it comes through practice, it comes through interaction. When your team members also tell you that I'm good at so and so, so definitely you will delegate them tasks according to their caliber. This will magnify and polish their skills also, and this will also help you understand how good you are at delegating tasks. Good leaders usually have a style that they consciously use most of the time, but they're not rigid. They change as necessary to deal with whatever comes up. Now, for example, if I know that in this particular situation I have to participate, ignoring the fact I'm an introvert, so I have to participate. There is no other way about it. So a good leader is about, like, we discussed that it's all about situation, how you adapt yourself, how you actually react to the situation accordingly. You cannot be very stubborn and say, no, this is something that I have never done, I will not do it. You have to shed off that inhibition, because this is how it works. This is how it works. And be consistent with what people in the organization expect. I've been saying this from the starting. Consistency is the only key. Your style needs to be consistent with the goals, mission, and philosophy of your organization. Now, what type of a leader would you be? Start with yourself. Do the SWOT analysis, this personal SWOT analysis, which I will be discussing tomorrow for sure. And then uh, think about the needs of the organization or initiative. Okay, in your case, you can also, for example, if you have certain personal objectives to meet also, if you have to work on having a healthy lifestyle or anything for that matter, think about those goals. How will you achieve your personal goals? How will you keep a balance of your personal goals and your professional goals? Observe and learn from other leaders. This book, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy, is one must read. In this, the author says that I learned a lot from people who were already established in that industry. So this actually, I'm not saying that there is a standardized way of doing things, but definitely you will understand what not to do and what to do, right? Use the research on leadership, believe in what you're doing, have faith. Like in the starting, we have manifested something. We manifested that we are going to attract blessings for ourselves, we are going to attract positivity. And leaders are never scared of changes. You, like in my slide, the very first slide, it said, are you ready for the change? You have to be ready for that change, because change is inevitable, change is unavoidable. And you can see around you, I'll be discussing on the last day the role of ICT. Why ICT? Because technology is something that is really an important parameter in every study that we do, because it is something we cannot live without now. So understanding that, and working with it, not being scared of working or adopting to the changes, right? These are the sources that I've taken, and I thank each one of you for being so patient and listening to me. Now, if you have any questions, we can discuss, we can take our discussion forward. And I would also encourage that if anyone asks a question, if anyone else has a perspective to share, please go ahead, because this is how you will be able to understand the importance of interaction, right? And this will also increase your empathetic nature, that you are not just here for yourself, but also others. So I thank each one of you. Tomorrow we'll have a session on conflict management, and I hope I'll make it as interesting as possible. Okay, now, okay, thank you so much.
Question is
Yes.
by my side.
Okay. Okay, please. I also have a question from
Actually,
Lokesh.
we all are teachers. We all are associated with the education system. and we are talking about the leadership in reference of education system. But
Right, sir.
when we talk the leadership styles, so we have some Indian leadership styles.
Indian as in, sir, Indian as in, like
We-
examples.
we have a famous book related to political science
Okay,
called Economics.
right.
Okay.
Okay. Chanakya.
Yeah, written by Chanakya.
Chanakya, yes, yes.
Actually, those all are leadership styles
Hmm.
related to Western culture.
Hmm.
Huh?
Hmm.
This is where autocratic,
Right,
democratic.
right.
We have some specific leadership styles related to Indian culture, which we have given to society. First question.
Okay,
And second, no, any problem. We are discussing only.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
But
Okay. But sir, you were saying something else also.
yeah,
Okay.
1 minute. तो
And
जस्ट हम यहाँ डिस्कस कर रहे थे और ये मेरे मन में आता है कभी कभी, ये मेरे
yes,
मन में
एक
आता है
minute.
कभी कभी कि ये सारे स्टाइल्स जितने भी हैं ये सारे वेस्टर्न कल्चर से रिलेटेड हैं, कुछ हमारे
Right,
अपने
sir.
भी होने चाहिए। और एज ए स्कॉलर मैंने पढ़ना शुरू किया और मुझे लगा कि कुछ हैं भी हमारे पास, और this is appropriate time to talk Indian leadership styles. If we want to be Vishwaguru, so we have to create some our knowledge. Okay, we
Right,
have to
sir.
search, we have to seek, and we have to associate with the Western knowledge. हम सबको यहाँ कहीं ना कहीं इस बारे में सोचने की जरूरत है कि कुछ ना कुछ इंडियन लीडरशिप स्टाइल्स भी हैं। बहुत दिन हो गया डेमोक्रेटिक, ऑटोक्रेटिक, लेसेस फेयर, कितने दिन हम वही पढ़ेंगे। और जेफ
Right.
बेजोस को क्यों पढ़ें? व्हाई वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट जेफ बेजोस, व्हाई वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट जैक मा? क्या हमारे पास अपने रोल मॉडल नहीं है? एंड थर्ड थिंग, वी आर टॉकिंग, वी आर वर्किंग इन एजुकेशन सिस्टम। तो हमें लीडरशिप को वहां की प्रॉब्लम्स में देखना है, क्लासरूम की प्रॉब्लम्स में देखना है, या इंस्टीट्यूशन की प्रॉब्लम्स में देखना है। हम टीचिंग सिस्टम से या एजुकेशन सिस्टम से जुड़े हुए हैं, तो कैसे हम कनेक्ट करें, दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम, दिस इज द बेसिक डिस्कशन पॉइंट। ये हमारे सामने एक पॉइंट होना चाहिए, क्योंकि हम लीडर मीन्स ऐसा नहीं है कि हम अपनी टीचिंग से डिवार होके या लीव करके हम पॉलिटिक्स में आ जाएंगे। हम
Right.
अपने, हाँ, हमारी लीडरशिप का मतलब है एक्सट्रोवर्ट और एंट्रोवर्ट ही सीमित नहीं है। अभी तो हमारे पास टेक्नोवर्ट भी है। इन ए फैमिली देयर आर 4 guys, but everybody is using mobile. They are sitting commonly, but nobody is talking with each other. ये प्रॉब्लम्स है हमारे पास, सोशियोलॉजिकल प्रॉब्लम्स है, साइकोलॉजिकल प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस से रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लम्स हैं। कैसे एक लीडरशिप ऐसी लाएं जहां नॉलेज से युक्त एक माहौल बनाए जो लॉजिक से भरा हो। तो if anyone another question, anyone want to raise some questions here with ma'am? Otherwise, many thanks to Miss Rinki Arora ma'am.
No, sir, but I'd
We
like
have
to
benefited by
address
you.
to your concern, that is leadership in India, leadership in education, and the AI problem, technology part that we are discussing. I would definitely like to discuss these things because I also need to prepare I think I have kind of missed out on these things. So right now, the first person after listening to Leadership in India who struck my mind was Chanakya Niti, which we have been listening. And you won't believe, guys, there are podcasts available wherein you can listen to the a 14-minute of audio, 15-minute audio on certain tips, suggestions given by Chanakya, like how he says how your moral value should be, how you should understand who is an enemy, who is your friend, a foe and a friend, how to differentiate, how to understand. So I would definitely like to elaborate on these points tomorrow. In the first 15-20 minutes, I'll try to incorporate slides wherein I can cover leadership in India, focusing more on the education sector, because today the topics that I included was overall more related to organizational behavior, more on how it was kind of overall, it was in a way including all the sectors, not specifically the education sector. So yes, I will. I thank you so much, sir, for these questions. I will incorporate this in tomorrow's session also, and I will discuss more questions if you have. And in the first 15-20 minutes, the first thing that I'm doing is I'm discussing leadership in India, leadership in education, and not discussing Jeff Bezos and Jack Ma. I'm going to try and figure out more Indian names, and if that helps each one of you. So yes, anything else like transformational and transactional, like Lokesh has asked, transactional is more of the reinforcement that we talk of, and transformational is more on the innovation part. When we encourage innovation in the team, that is transformational. Transactional, like I discussed with you, the carrot stick approach is more of like that, the reinforcement part. When it talks of motivation is related to reinforcement, either positive or negative. And yes, there is one more question, which can this international leadership can be useful in Indian workplace? Okay, the same question. Yes, from Pramod sir, I'll be discussing this tomorrow for sure in the first 15-20 minutes, because I'll have to go through this as I missed it out. So I will discuss it tomorrow. I'll prepare a slide
Yes,
pack for
ma'am.
this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And many
Yes.
thanks to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much,
Just
everyone.
I was giving you some discussion points. Okay.
Definitely,
Actually,
yes.
we have so many diversity in India. In reference of climate, in reference of geographical diversity, cultural
Hmm.
diversity. Eh, So we have so many different type of leadership styles also. If we will search carefully, we will get, and we have. If we will read, if we will search in our mythological data, in our culture, in our society, we will get, obviously. So many thanks to you, ma'am, and
Thank you.
many thanks to all participants. Dear friends, we will meet again tomorrow at the same time, and learn to always society. And
Thank
please
you.
ask so many questions with ma'am,
Yes.
and please discuss so many topics. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Thank
Thank you.
you. Bye,
Good
everyone.
night.
Good
Shab
night. See you
Bakhair.
tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Bye.